nicely to a really cool feature of the DevTools in Chrome. On your Elements tab, if you pick an element from the page, like let's get our UL here. Notice it says over here $$0. It says, if you hover over it, use $0 in the console to refer to this element. So if I go to the console and I say $0, I've got the UL. So I can fiddle around with it. So I don't have to say document.querySelector or whatever if I just want to mess around with one of the elements in the DevTools. Super handy. I wish I knew about that a lot sooner than I did. So right now, I could say $0 child. This list that we just built. Wasn't it called item? I'm sorry. Item was the name of my variable. There we go. And we see that the comma space is there, right? Cool. Now our level was supposed to be red, right? And it's not. So what can we do with that? Let's look at one of these spans. Let's look at that span. Now that's $0, so I can do stuff with it. Why was it red before? We could use the style property. I know someone mentioned that. 0.style.color equals cornflower blue. Totally works. But it'd be nice if I could add the class to it. So now this 3 is $0. So let's see, $0.0.class. Okay, I've got class list and class name. Class list, what's that give me? A DOM token list. Looks like an array. Looks very array-like. You'll find a lot of these in JavaScript. There are a lot of things on the DOM especially that look and behave more or less like arrays, but they're technically some other kind of thing. We had element lists, or node lists, excuse me, is what querySelector all returns, for example. So $0.0.classList. What can I do with a class list? Ooh, add. Sweet. So how about add level? It turned red. So we should be able to do that in our code. Now, someone explicitly asked this morning, but it's worth pointing out, of course, everything that you do in your DevTools is going to go away as soon as you refresh the page, right? Yeah.
What did class list add level do?
Good question. Valid question. Let's try it here. So name span, let's say before we change the text content, name span dot class name dot add what was I had a rule for that, right? Spell name, right? Spell name level span dot class name dot add level. Fireball level 3. Ah, shucks. Namespan.classname.add is not a function. I didn't mean class name. I meant it was class list we were using, wasn't it? Yeah, I'm sorry. I meant class list. That was just me being silly. Class list. Fireball level 3. Because I was thinking ahead to answering his question. So here, now it's underlined and it's red. Let's inspect it. We see class spell name. So now this span is $0. Let's look at it again. $0.0.classList. And I see now it's got 0 spell name. Class name is just spell name. What if I add another one? Yeah, so let's see. Class list dot add. Maybe this is our favorite spell. So now what is $0.0.class name? Spell name space fave. Because in HTML, that's how you put multiple classes on something. You don't separate them with a comma or something like that. You put a space between multiple classes. So class name will reflect, the class name property will reflect the actual value of the attribute. Class list is this vaguely array-like thingy. It's array-like in that we can do things like class list, square bracket 1, and get the second one. But it is not an actual array. I can't say push. Push is not a function. So it's not a real array. It's a special thing. Part of why they bother to make that a special thing, what if I try to add the same class again? It doesn't. What if I try to remove one that isn't there? Nothing happens. So you can safely call remove if you want to be darn sure something isn't on there. If it's not on there already, it's not going to throw an error or anything. So class list. A lot more convenient than just trying to manipulate the class name string, which is what we had to do back in the old days. That's been around a little longer than class list. So any questions about that? All right, so now I think we've added classes to both of them. Yep. This commit will add classes to the spans.